Welcome, everybody. This is PharmaPulse, the new podcast by Reuters Events, where we're going to be discussing the latest trends in the industry. My name is Maria Aguirre, and I'm going to be your host for today. I'm here with Thyago Ohana, Digital Strategy and Capabilities Lead at UCB. Before we get into the heart of our conversation, which is going to be around customer engagement, Thyago, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit and about your role?
So currently I hold a position of Digital Strategy and Capabilities Lead, which is a go-to-market omnichannel engagement position supporting all the different verticals of omnichannel engagement, from inbound marketing, our HCP portals, our marketing automation, all the way to how we use technology for webinars, congresses, and so on. And prior to that, I have also worked in the digital health space as innovation strategist as well. So I'm a little bit between the marketeer, the customer experience, and the digital health spaces.
That's wonderful, Thyago. So let's get into the heart of our conversation now. So the first question I have for you, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing around customer engagement in the industry?
Well, honestly, I think right now it goes without saying, when you just open any app, social media, news, there is an information overload. And for me, this is exactly the same type of issue that we're suffering from an omni-channel customer engagement. There is too much information. So how do we know what kind of information we consume, but also what kind of information do we provide to make sure that we are actually delivering value and not just meeting check mark objectives of whatever brands we have. And on top of that, I think there is this very topic we've been talking about in the pharma industry regarding our digital mindset, right? I think I like to say that nowadays we are always talking about how much we stumble upon our regulatory and legal and compliance issues whenever we want to do something new, something different, something digital. And I think if we could measure our success moving forward, could we start measuring how many yeses do we get versus how many no's we get along the way? So this is another topic. I actually on the challenges as well. Another thing I tend to think very often is of a quote from, which it comes actually from the medical futurist. It's you probably can check this online. And he says on digital health, the digital health, there is no digital health without us giving up a little bit of privacy, right? So that means actually that there is a little bit of data that you need to give in or give up so that you can get something back. So I think we as an industry have not really, across all places in the industry, in the healthcare sector as a whole, really understood what can we give in, what can we give up, what is okay to give up in order for us to get something back in return. And I always like to quote also a former manager of mine. He used to say that although everyone thinks that we in the pharmaceutical industry are all about researching, developing and commercializing drugs, at the end of the day, our drugs are just boxes on a shelf if we are unable to provide the medical and scientific education that enables these drugs to actually reach the patients. So we are much more than just the science, but we are also a lot about the education that we provide, the services around the scientific services or educational services that we provide around the product. We are much more beyond the product itself. So I think we need to really embrace these understandings so that we can provide the best engagement to our HCPs to reach, so that our products can actually reach the patients. Hope I was not too long.
No, Thyago, I was about to say that was a wonderful answer. Definitely loads of good insights for our audience. I'm sure that they agree with me when I say this. Thank you for that. So the second question is around breaking down the barriers between medical and commercial functions. That's quite been the topic lately in the industry. How do you see the industry actioning this and putting it into play? What do you think it needs to happen?
Well, I think everyone is busy with this topic right now. It seems like we've been talking since the morning in this event here today. And fundamentally, this is also a topic that we are busy with. And there is an element of us understanding how can we organize ourselves better, right? So I think we can talk about organizational structures, operating models, and reporting lines, this and that. And yes, you can do something by changing things by design so that you operate differently. And I believe there is a very powerful element to that as well. However, even if not, right? Even if not by design in terms of how we organize ourselves, we can still harmonize ourselves, and that goes beyond organizational structures. That goes actually at the intention. We need to be intentional to understand that from a customer perspective, from an HCP perspective, from a patient perspective, we are one company, right? We are representing X pharma company, and we need to be able to communicate with them in a uniform manner. And also another thing I believe there is an opportunity there is we see that there are several movements within pharmaceutical companies of either medical or commercial moving things such as upskilling of their capabilities in silos. So what if we start like taking these very capability building focused conversations and efforts, we did these things together, and also built upon that the clear communication of what we are doing so that everyone understands what is exactly the role they play. It's not about making roles redundant. It's not about making people, or saying that marketing, commercial, and medical are all the same. It's not. But it's all about how we organize or harmonize ourselves to provide the best experience. And at the end of the day, also how we connect those multiple medical insights we collect from the field and translate them into strategic value for the rest of the organization, right? So really having the end-to-end customer engagement, the end-to-end customer experience in mind, and also being a little bit aware that we are not alone, right? Both internally, we are working in a micro ecosystem, right? Internally, in the organization, and we need to make sure that this externally does not appear as a siloed, approach.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you with everything you said. Again, loads of really good insights for our listeners. Now, moving into this topic around data. What role does data play in a personalized customer journey, and do we invest enough in the data and analytics side of the business?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think one of the answers is in the question, what role it plays in the personalized is actually the personalization. Mm-hmm. So obviously data is very important for us, to be able to personalize to create the value for the individual, customers. There is an element which is very, very important as well, which is the compliance element. How can we make sure that data can help us accelerate, some internal pathways, also to help us, go through compliance and also stay compliant, right? And I think the most important element for me on the data is we can do market research, right? We can ask questions of whatever we know and get answers for that. But what are the things we do not know that we do not know, right? So I think data really is the one thing that can allow us to, discover the unknown unknowns. And I saw someone mentioning also recently, data is like gold. Data is like coal. I like to think of data as well as a kind of looking very scientifically to it. Data as a hydrogen atom, right? It is pretty much the simplest in the periodic table, and it's actually one of the most powerful ones. But very, alone, it can combine with multiple other, elements of the periodic table to be able to create these brilliant compounds that create incredible value, right? But if left alone, it doesn't have the power that all the molecules that it entails can actually have. And on top of that, hydrogen is actually the most available type of molecule we have in our nature, and I think that is definitely the most available thing we do have, data. So what we do with it, whether we are creating bombs or or solutions, it depends on how we are using it. So we also need to be very careful on that front as well.
Oh, I've never heard that before. How to say that's really innovative, creative. So the analogy is definitely really good. Now moving on to our last question, actually, which is around omnichannel. So omnichannel seems to be quite contentious at the moment. Do you see it as more of a buzzword or an integral part of the customer experience?
Well, definitely an integral part of the customer experience. I think we are, as individuals, or like you and me, we are exposed to so much excellent customer experiences left and right in every place we go, from a cab ride to a restaurant to an online order to everything. So this is actually impacting us a lot, right? So healthcare as well is moving into this more consumerism approach. So the expectations from customers towards healthcare are increasing, and we need to react, right? And omnichannel is it's not an option, right? It's just being there when your customers want. I think it's really making sure that we are not just, breaking down the doors of our physicians in their practices, in their clinics, as in the hospitals when we want, but it's actually being there when they need, right? So it's being found. So what is a restaurant nowadays without an entry on Google Maps, right? It's about the being found is what matters the most. No matter if you have the best meals, if nobody finds you, so what, right? So it's about really being connected, and not just connected, but also coordinated. Because I think you can be connected in your messaging and everything with a multi-channel approach, but omnichannel is really about the coordination of it all. Right? It's really about the orchestration. And also, most and above all, I think omnichannel is not just about telling, it's about listening. It's about really understanding where to be, how to behave, what to deliver, and and how to listen to the unmet needs of all of our stakeholders in the healthcare ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thyago, for that. Really insightful again. Okay, so now just to finish off, what is something that you want our audience to get away from this? Like one thing that you would tell them about customer experience and how to accomplish it, right?
I think I'm going to be a bit sneaky here with the answer. Knowing that, as I said, I worked previously also in digital health in this open innovation space. And I still believe that pharma is way behind in how we are, taking our responsibility in our role in digital health with, to provide value beyond the one thing we know how to do the best, which is the drug. So how do we create value before the drug and after the drug, and also during the drug, but beyond the drug? I think we need to take more responsibility on that, and I think a lot of companies, like I'm very proud to say also, UCB is very active in exploring what are the opportunities, and it's not about establishing your own capabilities. It's about choosing your strategy. It can be through partnerships. It can be through leveraging ecosystems of open innovation. I always like to say it's all about, if you understand that you do not have a certain capability, it's fine. Outsource it to the ecosystem, give it into the ecosystem. Much like when we talk about, for instance, things like the App Store of Apple. Don't you think that Apple could actually develop and deliver the value that half of those apps that are there available in the App Store could deliver? Well, probably they could do them by themselves, right? But they chose not to because they had other more valuable things to focus on, and they outsourced that value creation for their customers to their ecosystem. So this kind of open approach is very important, and I think the key message, what I'm trying to say here is, it's not about building, trying to be crazy about building a community around your product, but rather bring your product where a community already exists.
Thank you so much, Thyago, honestly, for all the information that you shared with me today. I'm sure it's going to be really valuable to all of you guys. And this is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, and let us know what you would like to hear next. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Reuters Events Pharma, or visit our website at reutersevent.com/pharma. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Views expressed in this podcast are those of individuals being interviewed and do not reflect any company, parent company, or affiliates they represent. Find out more on this topic at Reuters Events Pharma 2024, April 16th to the 18th in Barcelona, where we will align purpose, unlock innovation, and unleash healthcare's potential by uniting the greatest minds from across commercial, marketing, medical affairs, patient engagement, market access, real-world evidence, and digital health. For more information, please visit reutersevents.com/pharma/pharma-Europe.